Good evening, San Luis Obispo. Today the weather was 85 degrees and it was sunny all day, so I hope you made your trip out to the beach. Tonight we bring you our breaking news story. Our top story for tonight: two San Luis Obispo farmers have gotten themselves involved in a dispute. Strawberry farmer Willie Nelson claims damages from a conventional farmer, Hank Williams. Nelson claims that the pesticides used on the grapes from Hank Williams' farm have been damaging his organic strawberries. This issue has gone all the way to the local courts and has already gone and made its way to the Court of Appeals. We now go to McKinsey for more information regarding the story.
So here we have organic farmer Willie, and what do you think about the situation? Tell us your opinion.
I grow organic strawberries for Earthberry Farms. Next to my farm I have a conventional table grape grower, and he's always spraying his pesticides on his grapes. And because of the strong winds here in the Central Coast, a lot of those winds blow the chemicals onto my strawberries. It ruins my strawberries and prevents them from selling me at organic prices. So I'm forced to sell them at the lower conventional price. And this is a problem because my input prices are so high because I grow organic, and my profits are lowered.
So what do you think should be done about this?
Something needs to be done to stop the contamination. I think the government needs to step in and control organic farmers.
Thank you, Willie. And back to you, Tom.
We now go to the defendant, Hank Williams, of Williams Vineyards, to help clarify his side of the legal suit.
Okay, so here we have conventional farmer Hank Williams. What do you think about this situation?
Hank Williams here on behalf of Williams Vineyards. My farming methods are nothing new to these parts. I've been implementing my farming techniques for generations now. The use of pesticides on my crops is crucial. It ain't right to change another man's farming techniques just because he has some sensitive berries.
Okay, so any last thoughts on this?
Yes, any policy reforms or tax on pesticides is going to greatly affect my profits. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Back to you, Tom.
Thank you, McKinsey. This is not only a civil suit, but a matter of externalities and economics. We would now like to bring in our two economics experts, Albert and Einstein, to help clarify and explain the matter in economic terms.
Thanks, Tom. I'm Albert, this is my colleague Einstein, and we're here to discuss with you what an externality is. An externality is when a third party incurs the costs of a transaction that he or she has no part in making. In our case, Willie Nelson is incurring the costs of the organic label being stripped of his crops because of the pesticides and fertilizer of Hank Williams. And my colleague Einstein will talk about the private costs associated with the externality.
So here we have the marginal benefit line and the marginal private cost line that Hank Williams takes into consideration in his production. Currently, Hank Williams is producing at P1 and Q1, which is the equilibrium price and quantity that he wants to produce at.
The private costs of the graph are all the costs that are incurred by the producing company, such as labor, seed, fertilizer, and pesticides. There's also the social costs that are a result of the producing company, which are defined as the private costs added to the external costs. External costs are all monetary costs that are valued after the production is done.
So here is the external cost that Willie Nelson is talking about. As you can see, marginal external cost is under the marginal social cost on our graph, but above the marginal private cost. Therefore, farmer Hank Williams doesn't take these costs into consideration, which leads to what we call a market failure. If farmer Hank Williams were to take these costs into consideration, he would then have to produce at this marginal social cost, which would lead to marginal cost being greater than marginal benefit, which is what leads to the market failure, being depicted right here on this graph.
A market failure is when the quantity of product demanded by consumers does not equal the quantity supplied by the producers. My colleague will discuss it on the graph.
As you can see, in order to avoid this market failure, conventional farmer Hank Williams will need to produce at a new price in a new quantity. This is the ideal new price, P2, and ideal new quantity, Q2, which would then lead to marginal cost equaling marginal benefit. So this ideally would lead to marginal cost equaling marginal benefit, which would be the most efficient use of resources, taking into consideration the marginal social cost. I hope this gives our viewers a better understanding of the externality present. Now back to you, Tom.
An externality is a market transaction between Hank Williams and his consumers, with Willie Nelson being a third party and not having a choice in the transaction, but is incurring costs due to the transaction.
Alright, thank you guys for explaining to us what an externality is. We now have some clarity in the situation regarding the organic farmer and the conventional farmer. Have a great day. You stay classy, San Luis Obispo.